Right, I'm introducing my new book, Max the Incredible Cat. It's got 4 separate stories in it. Max and the Blue Jays, Max paints a mural, Max goes flying, and Max meets the mountain lion. And it's for children aged from about 6 up to 10, 11. And also adults enjoy reading it as well. Okay, so I'm just going to read one chapter of the second story, and then we're going to ask Tash what she thinks of it. Okay?
Okay, here we go.
Right, Max paints a mural. The artist. Max the Maine Coon cat stalked stiff-legged through the bedroom door. Slowly he sat down on the white-tiled marble floor and carefully laid his long tail, his pride and joy, half-length, full length on the cool white tiles. The end, like a tiny snake rising from the enchanter's basket, began twitching with annoyance. His ears were pricked and alert, his eyes narrowed almost to slits, as he glared at the stranger in Rod's bedroom. Max always referred to it as Rod's bedroom, when in fact it was Rod's and Lileen's bedroom. He growled softly in his throat. Just what does this person think? This strange woman think she was doing? The tail lashing intensified. Why was Rodney letting a strange woman into his bedroom? According to the law of Max, the only female allowed in his beloved human's bedroom was Lileen, his human lady wife. The tail now switched from an up and down lash to a sideways lash. She, the strange woman, took no notice of him and just carried on painting flowers on his human's bedroom wall. Oh, Max thought to himself, how crass! What on earth is she painting flowers for? Mice and rats and even trees I could understand, but flowers? Come on, lady, use your talent on something worthwhile. Max licked his left paw and then he licked his right paw. His tail switched gently up and down and then from side to side, and his thoughts grew darker. How unmasculine! His tail lashed 3 times from side to side as his fury mounted. Flowers are for girls, not Rod. The tail lashing grew more intense. No, most definitely not. The tail was now like a writhing snake. Rod is the boss in this house, and he is the boss of me. The tail had a life of its own. I just know he's not going to like flowers on his bedroom wall. Deep-throated growls started to accompany the lashing. He's not going to like what that woman's doing at all. The artist concentrated on her work, taking no notice whatsoever of the growls directed at her from a very angry Max. Curling his lip so that the sound issued into the room, Max hissed between his teeth. Oh no, most definitely not, lady. Rodney is not going to like those flowers one little bit. Still the strange woman took no notice of him and his growling. She bent down and washed her brush in the glass jar of water at her feet. She squeezed some tubes of paint onto a plate and mixed up a subtle colour shade of pink. Max sneezed delicately and quickly shuffled backwards to avoid touching her hand. He needed a plan if he was going to save Rod from the humiliation of flowers on his bedroom wall. He waited until she turned back to the wall and started painting again. He stopped growling and watched her closely. Rod often says if you can't beat them, you might need to join them, he mused to himself. Max's pink tongue appeared, just a tiny tip poking out of his mouth. Rod is so wise, the wisest human a cat could ever have. I am such a lucky cat. He gave himself a quick lick, then yawned, showing all his teeth. He was in mid-yawn when an idea popped into his head. I might just have to go over her work with a mural of my own. Oh, what an incredible idea! I will do it. I will improve Barbara's painting. I will teach her a thing or two about the composition of a mural. I am Max, and I can do anything. Max grinned wickedly to himself. He could imagine a wonderful painting of mice and rats and birds, all dead of course, but then maybe he could paint a mural of himself chasing rats and mice through the tall grasses at the back of the house. He would have to include the old plum tree. Everyone knew and loved the old plum tree, especially the wonderful juicy plums that made such tasty jam. The old tree always had a bumper crop, and every fall or autumn, Lileen would put baskets of the most delicious plums out on the road for people to help themselves. The plum tree and the blue and white sun lounger were iconic to the garden, and what's more, to the village. They were both symbols of Rod and Lileen's house. He could even paint the porch of the house with the scarecrow figures Lileen had made, sitting at the table. Perhaps he could include a mini cameo of himself, leaping up and catching a blue jay by its tail feathers. Now that would be fun. He could paint some blue jay tail feathers floating down to the ground. And he could paint Mama Blue Jay squawking in fright as she struggled to fly clear of his wicked hooked claws. He would paint Papa Blue Jay shrieking with rage and dancing up and down on the branches of the old plum tree. Max grinned his very naughty, catty grin, and the end of his tail twitched with amusement. Okay.
Okay, so what I think so far of the book...
What do you think?
I think it's really detailed, and it's giving more of a, like when you finish a sentence, just like what's going to happen next. And basically, if like a child read this, was like 5 or 6, they'll be like, what's going to happen next and stuff. And I like the beginning paragraph because it's like really like emotional and really like detailed, because Max is obviously like kind of really mad because Lileen used to put like delicious plums on the road, and he thought that was kind of like for him because he loved them. Mm-hmm. Basically, the person painting on the wall, he was kind of getting frustrated with.
Yeah.
And that's really.
Why do you think he was getting frustrated?
Because he knew Rob wouldn't like it.
He knew that Rod wouldn't like it. Okay, so why wouldn't Rod like it?
Because he's more like he's thinking to paint over it because he thinks Rob won't like it because he's not really liking like the pretty little flower things, so he thinks it's like too girly for him.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah. So by putting in the mice. Yeah. By painting in mice and rats and what else was he painting? He was going to paint in
birds.
The birds, yes. What was he actually doing?
He was trying to make it like more of like Rod style.
Was he? Or was he trying to make it Max's style?
He was trying to make it Max's style more than Rod's, more than like pretty little girl stuff.
Yeah, because he liked hunting, didn't he?
Yeah, he liked hunting, and he was thinking he could like make like Rod into like a bird almost. So his mum would be like shrieking, and so would his dad. Yeah.
So what did you think of this is the second story. What did you think of the first story when he tried to eat the blue jay babies?
I thought that was kind of frightful a little bit because people like 3 or 4 read this. They'll be like kind of like frightened of the first one because it's just like really like frightful. And it's really good and really detailed, but it's really really like nice for like that emotion like coming out, like just like what's gonna happen next and stuff.
So you liked it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think you're going to like the rest of these?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Ah, you're going to recommend it?
Yeah. Do you want to recommend to anyone in China, or maybe?
I recommend it to all children and maybe some of the adults too, because this book is really interesting and I would recommend it to everyone.
Cool.
Ah,
a little bit introduction for yourself.
Who are you? Okay.
Yeah.
This is Tash. She's a friend of mine.
Hi.
Okay. And she loves books. And when she grows up, she wants to be a
teacher.
And you want to come to China, meet your fans in the future, right? Well done. Okay. Thank you, guys.
much.
Yeah.